Royal Navy has just closed the chapter on one of its most enduring and hard-worked warships. HMS Lancaster, the longest-serving Type 23 frigate in the British fleet, has officially been retired after more than 3 decades of global operations. But what makes this story stand out is not only the ship's age or achievements, it's the way her career ends. Lancaster will not sail home to the UK for the traditional farewell. Instead, she will be decommissioned and prepared for disposal directly in Bahrain, ending her service far from British waters. For a ship affectionately known as the Queen's Frigate, it is a strikingly symbolic conclusion. The Royal Navy announced the milestone publicly, marking the end of an unusually long operational life. Fleet Commander Vice Admiral Steve Morehouse, addressing personnel, highlighted just how exceptional this lifespan truly was. Lancaster was designed for just 18 years of service. In reality, she delivered almost 35 years of continuous operational output, often in high-threat regions and under demanding conditions. Morehouse noted that Lancaster's record far exceeded what planners originally imagined, describing her service as long and distinguished. His tone carried both pride and a sense of finality. This was a ship that gave everything, and then some. One of the defining chapters of Lancaster's recent career was her 3-year deployment in the Middle East. During this time, she became a core asset of Operation Kipayon, the UK's enduring presence in the Gulf. Morehouse emphasized that her performance was simply exceptional, setting a benchmark for what forward-deployed frigates can accomplish. The highlight of that deployment came in December 2023, when Lancaster became the first Royal Navy vessel on station in the Red Sea as regional tensions spiked. With hostile activity threatening maritime routes, Lancaster stepped into the front line. Her crew quickly earned a reputation for resilience, rapid response and operational precision. That deployment also saw Lancaster make a series of high-value narcotic seizures, capturing illicit cargoes worth more than £150 million. For a 1990s-era frigate, and one of the older hulls in the Royal Navy, this was a powerful demonstration of continued relevance. Morehouse, who once served as Lancaster's commanding officer, reflected on these accomplishments with visible pride. He summed up the ship's legacy as an immensely successful 35 years, acknowledging the deep emotional connection many in the Navy still feel toward her. Yet the decision not to extend Lancaster's certification or send her home signals a bigger shift underway within the Royal Navy. The fleet is transitioning toward newer, more capable platforms, and sustaining older ships far beyond their structural lifespan is increasingly difficult. Keeping Lancaster operational required constant maintenance, and forward deployment placed additional strain on a ship approaching 4 decades of use. For some sailors and veterans, the decision to retire her abroad is disappointing, a break from the traditional ceremonious return to Portsmouth. But senior leadership frames it differently. Lancaster has already given every ounce of operational capability, and extending her service simply for sentiment's sake would not be practical. Morehouse also emphasized the human dimension of the decision. He thanked Lancaster's crew for maintaining a high professional standard despite long deployments and the wear and tear of an aging platform. He also acknowledged the families who supported them through years of rotation and overseas duty. The Navy's intention now is to return as many of those sailors home for Christmas as disposal preparations begin in Bahrain. Even in retirement, operational logistics remain a priority, a reminder of how tightly personnel management and fleet readiness intertwine. What Lancaster leaves behind is more than a technical legacy. The ship represents a generation of British frigates that defined naval operations from the end of the Cold War through the rise of modern maritime threats. Launched in 1990 by Queen Elizabeth II herself, Lancaster carried the nickname, the Queen's Frigate, a nod to the Duke of Lancaster title held by the sovereign. Her identity was woven not just into the Navy's fleet structure but into its ceremonial culture. Even small anecdotes, such as the decision to change her original pennant number F232 because it corresponded to a report code for collisions and groundings, reveal the degree of attention placed on her symbolic role. As an early Type 23 frigate, Lancaster never received the Sonar 2087 upgrade that turned some of her sister ships into world-class anti-submarine platforms. Instead, she became a general-purpose frigate, adaptable and flexible, able to handle constabulary duties, escort missions, presence operations and maritime security tasks. Built by Yarrow shipbuilders and commissioned in 1992, she underwent multiple major refits, first between 2010 and 2012, and later during the 2017 to 2019 LifeX overhaul, which extended her life far beyond expectations. Even then, the original engineering frame was nearing its limits, a reality that shaped the Navy's final decision. Technically, Lancaster remained a capable platform. Displacing around 4,900 tons and powered by a cod-lag propulsion system, she could reach speeds over 28 knots and travel 7,500 nautical miles at cruising speed. Her weapons systems remained credible for regional threats, a 32-cell Sea Scepter vertical launch system, Harpoon anti-ship missiles, retained on Lancaster even as other ships removed them, Stingray torpedoes, a 4.5-inch naval gun and a suite of small-caliber armaments. She typically carried a Wildcat HMA-2 or Merlin HM-2 helicopter, and from 2024, she also operated Peregrine ISR UAVs, a nod to the evolution of naval aviation and unmanned integration. However, capability on paper is only part of the story. What made Lancaster effective deep into the 2020s was a combination of crew proficiency, forward deployment strategy, and a mission set aligned with her strengths. As the Royal Navy modernizes with Type 26S and Type 31s entering service, the older Type 23s become harder to justify logistically. Even the best engineering teams cannot erase the consequences of decades at sea. Still, Lancaster's retirement does not diminish Britain's posture in the Gulf. The Royal Navy confirmed that it maintains a continuous presence in the region and that the role of the UK Maritime Component Command in Bahrain remains unchanged. Lancaster leaves service, but the operational demand she fulfilled persists, a reminder of the strategic importance of these waters and the alliances that stabilize them. In the end, the story of HMS Lancaster is one of endurance, adaptation and service far beyond expectation. She was built for a different era, yet she remained relevant through constant evolution, dedicated crews and a navy determined to get the most from its assets. Her quiet retirement in Bahrain may not offer the dramatic imagery of a homecoming parade, but it reflects the reality of modern naval strategy, efficiency, readiness and respect for a ship that has already delivered more than anyone could have reasonably asked. HMS Lancaster's watch is over, but her legacy will continue to shape how the Royal Navy manages the balance between tradition, technology, and the demands of a world that never stays still.